Hi guys, I'm going to show you how to create a playlist using JSON data and plain JavaScript and HTML, and we're going to use Bootstrap for styling. So what happens when you click here, it shows songs and categorized by hip hop, jazz, pop, and R&B. So yeah, you can add images, you can display whatever data you want to display here. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to open my Visual Studio Code. Here I have a empty folder where I'm going to create my data.json. I'm going to create my script.javascript, and then I'm going to create my index.html. Okay, so we need to start with only these three files. Okay, let's start with JSON data. So I'm going to create a curly brackets, and I'm going to create a playlist array, and then inside the array I'm going to add the objects. Okay, so we start with an ID, and then we're going to create a song title, and then I'm going to create an artist, and then I'm going to create a genre. Okay, now let's add the values. So these are the keys, and then now these are the values. So the ID there is the key, and then the value will be start with 0. Song title, let's go with up. The artist is Cardi B. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's up. Up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's up. And then the genre, I would say it's hip hop. Okay, so now we need to maybe create around 20 of these. So we need to duplicate these and create all of them. So I have a file that I'm just gonna paste around 20 songs. So these are all 20 songs. You can see the order changed a bit. So we have 4 different genres. We have hip hop there, I have pop, I have R&B, and I have jazz. Okay, great. So now let's start with the HTML. So to start my HTML, I'm gonna use Bootstrap. There you go. So just copy this whole thing, the starter template. Replace with this thing. There's comments there, you can delete, you can leave them, it doesn't matter. Let's see if it works first. Just gonna open with live server. If you don't have the live server, just come here to your extensions, click on extensions, click on live server, should be the first one. Just click it and then install it. Let's go through the steps, and then after you installed it, you will come back here on your HTML, you right click, it will automatically be there. Okay, so open live server. It will automatically open with the default browser. This is my default browser, hello world, which is the H1 here. Let's rename to playlist. There you go. Now we're gonna link the JavaScript file. So I always start with a log and then go hello you do, and then come to my HTML file, do a script, and create a source, which will be script.js. There it appears. So now we linked this JavaScript file and the HTML file. We need to make sure that it has linked. I'm gonna go on my Chrome, inspect, console. There it printed a hello Edu, so it is linked. Okay, great. So now let's start with the fun stuff, the JavaScript. Okay, so to get started, what we're gonna do is create a variable called xhttp, and then we're gonna create a new xmlHttpRequest. So what this do is create a new xmlHttp object, and then we store it in this variable. And then now we're gonna create an onReady status change. So we're gonna say this xhttp dot onReady status change. I'm gonna create a function. And then inside the function, we're gonna say function here checks when the document is ready, and then when the document is ready, we're gonna start the action. Okay, let's go back to the HTML file and create our list. We're gonna create a section, and then create a container. It's supposed to be dot container dot row column. Okay, and then now we're gonna create our list inside here. So let's go to Bootstrap and find a nice style for that. Components, all the way, list group. Okay, I like this one, so just copy this. Okay, we're gonna delete all of the list tags because they're gonna be inside our JavaScript. And then here we're gonna add an ID. I'll call it playlist. Okay, this ID we're gonna use it in the JavaScript file. Come back to JavaScript. Okay, now we're gonna link the two. So I'm gonna do document dot get element by ID, that playlist that we created right that side. Dot inner HTML equals to this guy here. Okay, now we're done with this function. Now we're gonna create a, we're gonna call it, now we're gonna call this HTTP. I'm gonna say xmlHttpRequest dot open. I'm gonna create a get, and then now what we do, we're gonna go and open this JSON data. So we're gonna say data dot JSON and then true. And then now we're gonna send it. Okay, so our JavaScript is ready. I'm just gonna save that, check if everything is fine here. Come to my browser. There we go. Great. So let's format this data. Go back to Visual Studio Code into my JavaScript. So now I'm gonna create a new variable. I'll call this response. And then I'm gonna pass the JSON data. This okay, first of all, this needs to be on top here. Here, so I'm gonna go on my HTML dot response text. So now I'm gonna change this one and make it a response. Now we feed in there. So let's look. So it says object now. Okay, let's fix that. Gonna create a new variable again. I'll call it playlist equals response dot playlist. Okay, and then let's create a new variable item. I'm gonna go now. What I need to do now is to go through each object inside the array. So I'm gonna create a blank variable. Then I'm gonna loop through the playlist, this playlist array. Okay, where I equals to 0, I is less than playlist dot length I plus plus. Okay, now we're gonna assign the playlist item, this one here, inside the blank created item there. Okay, So I'm gonna say item plus equals to, and then I'm gonna use these things here. I don't know what they're called. And then I'm gonna create a list tag that's gonna be placed in here. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna say playlist at object at index I dot song. Let's start with the song first. Okay, let's just save it for now, and then we need to close the li, and then I'm gonna drag this going all the way to the bottom, because this only happens after you've got all the items in the playlist. So I'm gonna rename this now to this item here. Okay, now we can test. Okay, so now we can see that our playlist only shows songs. We need to show our artist and the genre. So let's go back now to our JavaScript. We added this one here, that's a song only. So I'm gonna add a HTML code here. I'm gonna break. I'm gonna add a playlist dot playlist still at I that artist. We named it artist, right? Yeah, artist. And then after that, just copy this and then say genre. Let's see. Okay, great. So now we can see that it's showing our song, artist, and then the genre. Okay, let's style this. So we need to style it back inside here. Remember, we copied our style from Bootstrap, so I'm just going to copy this class here and then paste it in there. Now it looks better. Okay, now what we're going to do now, we have all this data for our playlist. We need to categorize it by genre. So, okay, I'm going to go back to Bootstrap. And then I'm gonna go to navs and tabs. Find one that I like. I like this one here. Okay, I'm just gonna copy it. Okay, come back to my HTML file. I'm gonna create another row. I'm gonna paste all of that in here. Let me remove this and remove active, and then I'm gonna call this hip hop. This one's gonna be jazz, and this thing here is gonna be pop. Just delete these, and then this one's gonna be R&B. Okay, so what needs to happen here is that when you click on R&B, it only shows R&B, and when you click on pop, it only shows pop playlist. Come back here. So we're gonna create an on-click. unclick general, unclick general function. So this function needs to take in a parameter or a value data. So we're gonna say, and we're gonna create an ID now here. This one, we should call it hip hop. Just two more cases. And then we're gonna say this ID in here. We're taking in this ID, this dot ID. Okay, let's test this. Go back to our JavaScript. Let's create a function. What did you call our function? We called it on general. Let's call it general click. Let's call it general click. And because it takes in parameter, and then I'm gonna log this out. And then I'm gonna say data there. Okay, now let's test this. Come back here. You can see on our console, click RMB. Which one did we create? Oh, I think hip hop. There is an error. Okay, data is not defined. Let's go back, see what I did wrong there. Okay, variable data equals to data. Okay, let's test this. Okay, now it works. So now what we need to do is let's just delete that, put all this code here inside the function. Nothing happens, only it shows all of them. When you click this, it shows all of them. So now we need to create a if statement. Okay, so we're going to create an if statement inside here, inside the for loop here. I'm just going to cut this. If, and paste it back inside here. Okay. Oh wait, I need to still create that variable that I deleted. So let's call it a var general selected equals to data, right? And then we're gonna say selected data should be equals to playlist at I dot general. So that's it. So now this will compare if this data here is clicked, when clicked, sent into the function, and then we fetch it from here. If it equals to the one that's on the playlist.general, then it will display it. Let's test it out. So okay, nothing at the moment. When we click on hip hop, it only shows 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 of them. 5 playlist. When you click on jazz, there's nothing. We didn't create the on click for this one yet. So let's create it. I'm just gonna copy this. This one is jazz. RMB. Okay, now it should work. To the list. Hip hop, jazz, pop, R&B. So yeah, that's it. So that's JSON and JavaScript using HTML to display data. Great.